From on board the Dawn Treader, it's the IGN Digigods. So take off your thinking caps and please welcome two guys who could only get to Narnia by taking drugs, Mark Kaiser and Wade Major.
I'm insulted by that intimation. Who would possibly put Mark's name first? Corey, who has the nerve?
That was written by Ashley Fakava. Ashley, you can come in my wardrobe anytime. I hope you're a girl.
All I know is my name came first, so I'm happy.
Yes, you are. So, Oscars are out of the way, and we can now get back to a remarkably uneventful the DVD and Blu-ray release schedule, which really is not that spectacular over the next month or two.
It just kills me that Silver Linings Playbook upset and won Best Picture. Can you imagine if that would have happened?
Oh, dear.
By the way, I bought a watch.
You bought a watch?
Yes. I've not owned a watch in years. And then suddenly I got into watches.
Okay.
Ask me how much I spent on this watch.
How much did you spend on the watch?
$500.
Oh, nice.
I spent $500 on a Hamilton Thin-O-Matic watch.
And you did that why?
I don't know. I just got like a watch thing. I became obsessed with watches. Nice watches, classic styled watches, Rolex watches. I watched videos on how watches are made.
Do they still make swatches?
Well, of course.
Actually,
Hamilton, I believe, is owned by Swatch.
I
But
see.
now Hamilton, the reason why I wanted
Hamilton is owned by Swatch, not the other way around?
No. Yeah, Hamilton's owned by Swatch.
Really?
I believe. Let me look that up.
That's like Play School owning Rolls Royce or something.
I know.
That's weird.
Yes, the Hamilton Swatch Group. What I was going to say is, I went online. I looked for best bang for your buck watches, and everybody said Hamilton. Good company, been around for 100 years, American made. Everyone loves Hamilton.
Okay.
Then, a few weeks later, right in the middle of my watch obsession, I went to the Stanley Kubrick exhibit at the LA County Museum of Art.
Yeah.
And when you look at the 2001 section, you will see that the watch that was worn by some of the characters in 2001 is a Hamilton watch.
Wow.
Bet you didn't know that.
No.
Bet you didn't care.
Don't care.
Really? Come
Mark,
on. It's 2001.
Mark, we got listener mail today, and we got to move. We got television. We got a lot of great TV, and I'm going to start off by laying unbelievable amounts of praise on Downton Abbey because I love this show. Cannot get enough. This is Downton Abbey Season 3, which everyone by now has probably already seen in broadcast or on Netflix or something. The Blu-ray is the only way you should watch this. It's gorgeous. I did a funny thing, actually, during one of the later episodes in the series. I
don't want to know this. Do I want to know this?
You kind of do, because we had it on the television in high def, and then I had it running on Blu-ray at the same time. And I went and I changed the source on the television to do kind of an A/B as to what it looked like in broadcast. I mean, literally, it was within like a nanosecond. You know, you switch back and it's the same scene, maybe a little bit off. I did as best I could, but honestly, the Blu-ray is so much better. It's just this is the only way to watch this series.
Oh, I can imagine.
The costumes, the colors, the face, the skin tones. It's beautiful.
Loser.
Julian Fellows is my idol. Shirley MacLaine is only in the, it's funny, they put her there so prominently because she plays Cora's mom. Ooh, Shirley MacLaine, she's going to be getting it on with Maggie Smith. They're going to be doing the old dowager cat fight. And it's really only in the, it's only the opening episode. That's it. She doesn't come back. Maybe she'll come back next season, but that was like, really? Just that you're only bringing her on for the one episode? Okay, fine. Even still, great series, great season, and there is, of course, a death on the show that made a lot of people very, very unhappy. But I got to tell you, it's great drama. It really did up the ante on the show. It kind of injected new life into it when they went in that direction. And they've set up a whole new set of tensions for the final, or probably not the final. I'm sure there'll be season 5 and 6 and on. But for season 4, they've set up some pretty interesting stuff. We're not going to be worried about Bates anymore, and there's all this other other stuff. You know, it's like we've now we're moving into women's suffrage and all these kinds of global challenges that are part of post World War I, pre World War II,
the Weimar years,
pre-Depression. Yeah, you know, it's like I love the journey that we take through the history of the 20th century. It's really good stuff. So that is fabulous on Blu-ray. A lot of great extras, great behind-the-scenes stuff. It's incomparable. Got to get it.
Now, what would happen in a knockdown, drag-out fight between the cast of Downton Abbey and the cast of Game of Thrones?
The cast of Downton Abbey would not dignify that with a response.
Now, exactly. Now, last week we posed the exciting question: who would win in a fight, Thor or SpongeBob SquarePants? And I think you had said SpongeBob would win.
He probably would.
He's awesome
because he soaks things up.
All right, Game of Thrones second season is now on Blu-ray, and this is a fabulous show. People are just eating up the show like it's just like a banquet for a beggar. It is unbelievable, and I think what people like about it is first of all, there's only 10 episodes a season, so it's not like they can get sick of it. But also, it's got this very deep mythology. You know, the characters are pretty deep, and there's a lot of them. Storylines are interesting, and they're pretty complex. It's great. People love this damn show. It's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
David Benioff is the writer of it, and for those who don't know, David Benioff is also the writer of. He's written a bunch of stuff. He wrote, X-Men. 25th Hour, Troy, Kite Runner.
Yeah.
X-Men Origins, Wolverine. So I mean, he's like a writer. He does stuff. You know, he's definitely into that genre type thing. And, you know, it's a great show. It's the Blu-ray looks unbelievably good. There's a lot of Blu-ray exclusive features. So I cannot recommend highly enough Game of Thrones. I think you'll wind up sort of just like kind of just plowing through it in like one big 2-night just coffee and Game of Thrones bender.
I'm kind of not a huge fan of the show, but whatever.
What is wrong with you, Wade?
Yeah, I seem to be the only one, so never mind.
There's a game. There's some thrones. There's an of. You can't beat it.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. That's for me. That's Angry Birds.
I know.
Write your own joke.
Angry Birds is the best.
Game of Thrones. You're not getting the joke.
I'm not.
What you're doing when you're
I'm
on
really
the
not.
throne? You play.
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
Giggles.
Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum.
What?
A little bit of vintage TV here. Going to start off with 20 episodes from The Naked City. I wish they'd do the whole series. They need to do the entire, complete Naked City in just a great, fabulous Blu-ray box is what they need to do. But that being said, this DVD set of 20 episodes from The Naked City, there are 8 million stories in The Naked City. This was a good show. This was a really good show. I think it dates extremely well. I think the writing is really sharp. And, of course, the big deal with the Naked City is that the guest stars were always just, especially now, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, that's Martin Sheen. He's like 5 years old. Is that Christopher Walken? Really? Christopher Walken? He looks like he's 10. And I kid you not here, Mark, even on the packaging, look, that's Walken. That picture right there, that's Walken. Check that out.
Oh, my God.
I know. Isn't that unbelievable? He's like
Robert Duvall?
He's like 16 or something. I know.
Shatner?
Yeah.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
A lot of great people on this show.
A lot of great shows. I mean,
look at that.
This was one of those really, really seminal TV shows that was just, it was gritty and it was awesome and it was really good. I like it a lot. Back in the day when TV was, kind of classy. Gunsmoke, the 7th season, Volume 2. This is just, I can't believe it. Mark, when I collect Social Security, assuming that it's still solvent at that time, they will be on Gunsmoke maybe the 3rd to the last season.
Yeah, they really are dragging. They really are dragging out a show that probably barely sells anyway. Just get it over with.
Get it over with. Anyone who's going to buy Gunsmoke, the 7th season, Volume 2, is going to buy all of them. So just release the whole damn thing, or do a subscription deal or something. But just release it, or do it on an installment plan. Do it like a refrigerator, We'll put $20 down, and I'll do monthly payments and pay it off. But just release the whole thing, for crying out loud. The show ran for like 22 years or something, and it's the same thing with Bonanza. Here I've got this is also from Paramount and CBS. This is the 5th season value pack, which is part 1 and part 2. It's like, really, 5th season? Bonanza ran for like 18 years. By the time you get Bonanza and Gunsmoke out there, here's what they should do. Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Big Valley. All 3 series. Just release them all right now.
Well, the rumor is that they're going to release season 8, both halves, on May 7th. So both halves of season 8,
Great.
they will release on May 7th.
Great.
That's the rumor. Don't know if it's true.
And then one of my all-time favorite shows, the 8th season of Matlock.
Oh, for crying out, Jesus. They should put this out on 8-track.
I wasn't ready for that one. It just blows my mind that this show ran for 8 seasons plus. How many seasons did this thing run for?
Too many.
But how
This is back when CBS was like the network of old people.
I kid you. I know it was like Matlock and Murder She Wrote and the Sunday night lineup. I kid you not. These things come in the Matlock 8th season. I'm like, all right, let's see what it. And you go to a random episode on the DVD set, and honestly, it could be any other episode in Matlock. It's like they're all interchangeable. And I know a lot of people think the Law and Order episodes are interchangeable, and they kind of are, and CSI and all these shows that sort of have that the boilerplate thing. But my gosh, Matlock, he's always there, and there's always somebody on the stand. Now, didn't you see the gardener when the thing? But it's
I'm
really
just an old country lawyer.
It's like it's Perry Mason crossed with a geriatric.
No, Perry Mason was geriatric enough.
Yeah. Well.
All right, Wade. Here we go. The 8th and final season of Weeds. This thing has. You're like, is that still on?
Weeds.
Exactly. 8th and final season of Weeds, which is, you're right. At this point, it has become kind of wheezy, and I don't mean the Jeffersons wheezy. I ran out of interest in the show a bunch of years ago, as as audiences did too, because now the show is gone. And it just got ridiculous. It's like, Mary Louise Parker's had a son with a drug dealer, and last season ended on this cliffhanger where she was going to be assassinated. It just got to be too much. So here they sort of dial it back a little bit to where she's out of jail, and now she's just trying to live her life as she did in the first couple seasons. But at this point, I just think it's over. But if you love this show, then there's absolutely no reason why you would not want to go ahead and just get this last final season. The DVD looks fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Blu-ray looks fine, but ultimately I just think this thing is way over. I think this thing should have been done after like 6 seasons tops. Nurse Jackie with Edie Falco is another show that I never quite. There's something about the Showtime original series that seemed like the runner-up, the B-level, the nice try version of like the HBO shows. And this is Nurse Jackie. She plays a nurse, and she's addicted to all sorts of illicit substances, and it's a little bit predictable in that sense. The thing with Nurse Jackie is that it tries to be very kind of snarky and wry and that kind of thing, like what this woman goes through in this hospital. But in the end, I just find it's not that consistent in terms of the writing. She's fine, but I'm not really grooving on the character because I feel like it's going exactly where you think it's going to go. I'm not a big fan of Anna Devere Smith. I never have been, and she's in it. I think I'm alone on that. Everyone loves her. Although I do love Bobby Cannavale. I'm glad he's getting some work on the show. Anyway, this show, again, it just seems like kind of like a decent runner-up in terms of the A-list shows like Game of Thrones that are out there. But there you go, Nurse Jackie Season 4.
Beautiful. The Client List is a Lifetime show with Jennifer Love Hewitt. And I love how everybody describes this show. They're always trying to... This is the most euphemistically described show ever. This is The Client List, the complete first season. Jennifer Love Hewitt keeps bouncing into these bad TV series. And, The Ghost Whisperer was nothing special. Anyway, this is... Basically, here's the deal. She's a single mom. A husband bails on her. She gets a job at the local massage parlor only to be shocked that it's a den of prostitution. I have not seen a single description of this show that uses the word prostitution. It's just so euphemistically described. She gets a job at the local massage parlor where her co-workers offer special extra services, bonus a la carte for certain... Come on, it's a hooker show. Give me a break. It's Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's got a huge rack, and that's the only reason people ever put her on shows.
She's awesome. She's 34 years old.
Isn't that amazing?
I know. Hot.
Wow.
H-O-T. Hot with a capital L.
Anyway, look, Loretta Devine is on the show. She's always fun. I always enjoy her. But Sybil Shepherd playing her mom, that's a problem. Sybil Shepherd needs a better show. I'm kind of sad for her on that account. But anyway, whatever. It's a Lifetime show. It's based, I guess, on a Lifetime movie from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Lifetime does a lot of that kind of like
Yeah,
low rent
whatever.
female skewing movies where it's like a little bit naughty, but not too naughty because it's a bunch of
Yeah,
housewives and
exactly.
you can't offend them.
And then kind of on the same naughty angle, because everything on TV is naughty these days, right? Revenge, scandal.
I know the first two. I'm not familiar with Ha Ha Sha. I'm not
No.
familiar with that one.
There's also Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl.
Is that thing over yet?
No, maybe. I guess it is. Yes, it is. This is the final season, the 6th season. Not that I really care an awful lot. It's a CW show. Woo. What? The CW was just the worst thing ever. It was
CW?
the
Well, it's
creation
just-
of
well,
CW.
Sure. I mean, it's no worse than UPN was.
So anyway,
The
here
frog. Remember UPN with the frog?
this has.
No, wait, UPN wasn't the frog. The CW was the frog.
WB.
WB
was the frog. Yeah. Anyway, so here we go. 6th and final season of Gossip Girl. If you gotta have it, you gotta have it. I guess.
Poor
It's
Wade.
like it's
Poor Wade.
Hey,
He's
look.
so angry.
Look, you know what? It came out. We're obligated to let you know it's there. There it is.
That is true. Battlestar Galactica: Blood and Chrome. The relaunch of Battlestar Galactica is just this thing's been spun off into 100 different things, and Wade doesn't like it because it doesn't have the some stupid dog that was on the '70s show that sucked. If you watch it today,
Look! I am loyal to the original show,
Lame.
and this takes too many deviations, and I just cannot. I cannot abide that.
What if they called it like Steve's War? If they call it Steve's War, you watch it, would you like it? Yes, you would like it.
Maybe.
It was Steve's War.
Maybe.
Well, Blood and Chrome is interesting because it was like a web series, then it was like a TV movie, then it was a regular movie, then it was a Blu-ray, and so the thing took a rather circuitous route to Blu-ray. This takes place during the first Cylon War. I thought this thing's very Terminator. It's almost like Terminator in space. We had talked about I think it was it Halo? There was a web series that was released on Blu-ray that I think was it Halo? And it was live action. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a live action Halo web series that was finally released on Blu-ray. And this is a little similar to that, but this has some great writing because it's the Battlestar Galactica guys from the TV show putting this together, so it does look nice. You know what? It's almost like it's just more. It's like Star Wars Clone Wars. If you want to know more about how the show came to be in terms of plot and story, this is the way to go. It looks good, sounds good. Some of the characters are different. A couple characters from the old show kind of float in and out. But yeah, it's good stuff. If you like Battlestar Galactica, I wouldn't start here. If you were into Battlestar Galactica, I'd start with the relaunch of the show.
Okay.
But once you're 50 episodes into that,
Are you done?
You can hit Blood and Chrome.
Are you done?
What?
Okay, fine.
It's good.
You know what? Because I want to talk about Top Gear, the complete season 2, the hit U.S. show. This is not a hit. This is from BBC, of course, but this is the U.S. version of the show. And if you don't have Jeremy Clarkson, I don't want to watch it. Seriously. What's the point of having an American version of the show? Oh, let's do a U.S. version where we cover less interesting cars and we hire 3 American guys who are not even remotely as interesting as Jeremy Clarkson or James May or Richard Hammond, the 3 guys that, were just so awesome on the British show. These guys, I don't even know their names. They're lame. They're uninteresting. They think they're cute and clever and funny, and they're not. The only reason to watch this is because the cars are cool. But that's not enough for me, frankly. I could find that on the internet any time of day. It's okay as far as the cars. The cars are the only thing that keep it running, but otherwise watch the British show, for crying out loud. Really, really great thing here from the History Channel. This is a 3-disc Blu-ray set, The Men Who Built America. This is really fascinating. I'm glad they're doing more of this stuff. This is 8 episodes, 8 fabulous Blu-ray episodes from this History Channel original miniseries about the industrial titans who were responsible essentially for building modern America coming out of the Industrial Revolution. And of course Henry Ford and Johnny Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie and J.P. Morgan and the Vanderbilts. Those are the giant aristocratic entrepreneurial families that really did not just build America, but they built the world. And this is it's not, this is not going to win any Oscars. And it's a little on the long side. It's 6 hours, but it's very informative. It's very accurate, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. It takes some time. You just kind of got to breathe with it, but really good historical writing. And then last on our television front is Method to the Madness of Jerry Lewis. This is an encore original, Mark. Jerry Lewis is making another movie. Did you know that?
I do know that. He looks good. I mean, he's old, obviously, but at least he lost all that weight when he was on steroids. Whatever the hell
He was looking. You remember when we gave him the award at the LAFCA dinner? He was looking poorly.
I think that was the year before I joined.
He was really.
Because I wasn't there for that.
You weren't there for that?
No.
Really?
I was not.
You were not there when I had the honor of presenting Jerry Lewis his Career Achievement Award. You know, I still have that picture of Ray and me flanking Jerry Lewis, and Jerry with his face and this look on his face like, who are these two schmoes? Get me out of here. It's great.
Awesome.
It's fabulous. No, this is really, really great. And there are a lot of documentaries on Jerry Lewis, and this is certainly not the definitive one, but Encore does a really good job of drilling down with a lot of these people. And this was actually an entry at the Cannes Film Festival, believe it or not. It wound up on television here, but this is a wonderful job of paying tribute to him. You get tons and tons of people just telling you how great a genius he was and how influential he was. Everybody from Billy Crystal to Alec Baldwin to Carl Reiner, and it's just on and on. Jerry Seinfeld. And Steven Spielberg even shoehorns himself in there like he does with everything. He's got why is he always a part of these things?
He really does.
It's amazing. Like, oh yeah, it's Spielberg. Of course, he's completely influenced by Jerry. Yeah, that scene in. Well, okay.
Whatever it is, he's trying to be like he's trying to be like the emperor, the king, the ultimate whatever. It's becoming tiresome. Like when he glommed himself onto Stanley Kubrick's legacy.
I know.
That was the end.
I was so upset by that. But anyway, that was good. It's really good. So definitely check that out. You don't have to be a Jerry Lewis fan. It'll certainly give you a sense of why he fits into film history in a certain way. And that's important as far as I'm concerned. I think that's a vital thing. Where are we in the show now, Mark? We're 20. Let's go through some.
Yes.
Let's go through some foreign stuff.
Okay, let's do that. We are well organized here on the big show.
Well, I want to do listener mail, but I don't want to get
post-Oscar show.
I want to do some listener mail, but I want to get to it. At a certain. It's sufficiently into the show. I don't want to do it too early. I'm tired, man. I got a baby now. I'm not getting a lot of sleep.
Baby.
Yeah. She's
Babies
adorable.
Are cute.
She's awesome. She's just awesome. Every day she comes up with like a new thing. Like yesterday she looks at me. I mean, she's only a few weeks old. And yesterday she looks at me and she says, "Is calculus really that important?" And I thought, well, not at your age. And so we had a little talk about that, and she agreed that she was going to stick with algebra for now.
I thought she said her first words are going to be, "I like the new Battlestar Galactica."
No. Those words will never be uttered by any flesh of mine. A terrific, underrated, and little-known film, frankly, from Criterion. I love it when they just pull these things out of their unit, and you go, wow, really? This is from 1961. Chronicle of a Summer. Have you ever heard of this, Mark?
I have not.
It's really interesting because this is probably one of the most influential French films of the 60s, and yet almost nobody has ever heard of it. Really, really intriguing. This is essentially a collection of interviews from the summer of 1960. And these aren't filmmakers making this necessarily. Edgar Morin is a sociologist, and Jean Rouch is an anthropologist, also a filmmaker. But basically, these are guys who just wanted to document a moment in time, and it's a series of interviews and questions with an incredibly diverse group of people in Paris in 1960. And you get this really great kind of socio-political tapestry and snapshot of a point in time. The Algerian War, of course, was going on. And it's just great. It just immerses you in a moment, and there aren't a lot of films that do that. It's considered one of the seminal works in the sort of the moment of cinema verite, when that was being formed as an actual art aesthetic, a cinematic aesthetic. Just terrific, really, really good, very nicely transferred. Brand new 2K digital master from the 2011 Cineteca di Bologna restoration. And it's great, really terrific. This is one of those little Criterion gems that just comes out of left field, and you go, bravo, well done.
Well done. Wait, now I want to talk about your favorite film of last year.
I'm going to go in the other room.
Now, if you notice on the back of the Blu-ray for Holy Motors, the Leos Carax film.
Everyone in Lafka loved this friggin' movie.
It says, it says, winner, Los Angeles Film Critics Association, Best Foreign Language Film. This is an indescribably strange film that I have a feeling that will completely confuse, polarize, possibly anger many people who watch it. It is a French film, and it's hard to say what it's about, except it is about a guy. It's about a guy played by Denis Lavant.
I'm looking forward to how you're going to describe this.
The movie is approximately 11 vignettes where Leos Carax goes into a limousine, changes costume as the limousine drives to its next location, and then he gets out as a completely different character. Sometimes he's a motion capture hero, and in one of them, he's this strange imp character who has an enormous erection that is full frontal right there in front of you.
Yeah, and in another one, he actually bites someone's fingers off. That was beautiful.
In another one, he bites someone's fingers off. In another one, he does a duet with Kylie Minogue. So,
oh yeah, that was charming how that one ended. You think, oh, this is a charming salute to the musical, the musical genre, because all this really is just Leos Carax could not get another movie off the ground, so he decided to do something really audacious so he could get enough money to get another movie going. So this was supposed to be his weird kind of uber artistic stopgap film. And it's supposed to be like all these little riffs on different film genres. Oh, yeah, and that Kylie Minogue thing, that's fabulous. It was like, oh, why didn't all MGM musicals end like this? What a happy ending. I won't give it away, but it was like I was so out of that movie by that point. I was so done.
Everybody who complains that movies are all the same and they're all predictable and it's just the same thing over and over again, I want you to watch Holy Motors and tell me if you've ever seen a film even remotely like this.
You know what? Anyone who complains that food all tastes the same, I'm going to get a bucket of slop and I'm going to give it to you, and you can try that and you can say, you know what, this doesn't taste like anything I've had in a long time.
So Wade loves Holy Motors, is what we're trying to say. But I think this thing is an interesting experiment. I don't know that I understood it. I don't know that Leos Carax understands it. I don't know ultimately what he's trying to say with it.
No.
I think that people tend to put their own spin on it based on their own experiences, which of course is true of all films, but especially here. I have my own interpretation, and you will too when you see it. But Holy Motors is definitely an experience.
Yes, it is.
It is not rated. Just know that there is some sexual... There's some sexual craziness going on. But it's not a porn film at all. But it's just Leos Carax is out of his mind.
A couple more criterions here. Really fabulous titles. I am so excited about these. Ivan's Childhood, the Andrei Tarkovsky film, Andrei Tarkovsky's first feature film, is magnificent. We've been waiting for this for a long time from Criterion to come out on Blu-ray, and here it is. It is just fantastic. 1962, a terrific, just unbelievable, gorgeous black and white transfer. It doesn't get any better than this. Tarkovsky, of course, is one of my filmmaking gods. Anybody who's listened to this show long enough knows that. And this is great. It perfectly complements everything. This is it. I've been waiting for this forever, and it could not have been more beautiful. Could not have been more poetic. Great interviews with cinematographer Vadim Yusov and the actor Nikolai Borlayev. I know I'm just murdering these Russian names, but there's a great booklet. It's just such a wonderful film. It's just pure cinematic poetry. It doesn't get any better. And then another great film, the Dardenne Brothers, Kid with a Bike. I'm so mixed on the Dardenne Brothers. I hate Rosetta so much, but I've loved some of their other films so much. So this one is one that I liked. And every time they deal with younger children, somehow they kind of get to me. This was one of the underrated films from last year. I thought this would be in the running for our awards at one point. Didn't you?
Yeah, it's true. I don't think that people love the last Dardenne film, The Child.
Yeah,
people really so super grooved on.
Oh, so good.
This one less so.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because it isn't quite as good as The Child, but that means it's like better than 98% of everything else.
Well, so is Holy Motors.
No, I don't. I know. I don't know. No. How about no? Would you believe no?
Would you believe?
No. But once again, this is a really interesting look at a troubled child, an 11-year-old kid, and who's desperately trying to reconnect with his father. And it is it's touching, and it includes one of the best performances I've ever seen from Cécile de France. And it's just a great film. It's really touching, beautiful. A lot of great extras, including a half-hour documentary that goes back to the locations of the film, and a sensational essay by Jeff Andrew in the booklet, which really crystallizes everything that this movie is about. Absolutely excellent Blu-ray. Got to get it.
An interesting animated film from last year, which I totally recommend, is a thing called Tales of the Night. And Tales of the Night, you know what's funny? It's like sometimes animation and CGI and computer effects have gotten so sophisticated that sometimes like the most refreshing thing in the world is a movie that goes back to the way it used to be done.
Yes.
And Tales of the Night is all silhouette animation. It's black characters outlined against colorful backdrops. And it's the way animation was in the very, very early days of cinema.
Yeah.
And so Tales of the Night are 6 stories, 6 short films. There's a connecting device between all 6 films, but that's not that important. But the animation is just fantastic. Tales of the Night is just charming, and it just feels instantly timeless. And I just liked it a lot. It's a great film. It's no one story outstays its welcome because it's just 6 short films. Even though all the characters are black, black silhouette, the backgrounds are beautifully rendered. They look great. The music is terrific. It's a film for families, but people who love animation will definitely groove on it. And I really recommend for animation fans Tales of the Night. It's not a Pixar film. It's not The Incredibles or whatever, but I just think it's a really special little movie, Tales of the Night.
Nice. Mark, some years ago, we did an audio commentary for a movie called Carcasses. You remember that?
I do.
The Denis Coté film?
Yes.
And totally unique film, totally unique French-Canadian filmmaker. He's got a new movie, Bestiaire, which actually is now out on from Zeitgeist and Kimstim on DVD. And it is also, by the way, screening at the Cinefamily in town right around now, or else it did last week. I forget which. But so it's making its way around to theaters in kind of a specialized revival format, and it's also out on DVD. And it's more the same. If you watched Carcasses and heard our commentary and thought this is an interesting movie that kind of splits the difference between documentary and narrative and exists in this weird purgatorial netherworld between genres, and I just can't categorize it. This is another one of those films. Coté has a very unique way of making movies. And this is one of those kind of ethereal quasi-documentary looks at the way that people and animals relate. Is all shot in a safari park in Quebec, which made me think, there's a safari park in Quebec?
Why not?
Why not? There must be. But it's really cool. It is incredibly well photographed, and it captures some amazing moments where you go, really? How do you even get that shot without just completely artificially staging this? It's a really interesting movie, and obviously Denis Coté is not for all tastes, but you know what? He's just a unique artist, and I highly recommend you at least rent it and take a look at it.
Oh wait, there's an interesting film from Zeitgeist. We like the people at Zeitgeist. It's a movie called Silent Souls, and it's a unique movie. It's about it's kind of a road movie. It's about a guy whose wife dies, and then he winds up on a road trip with this writer, and they are going to dispose of the wife's remains according to the rituals of this crazy, strange, I think they're called like the Murya people from Finland. So it's all about going to this place where they're going to dispose of the remains in a very specific way. And I just think this is a very interesting movie because it really has a certain mystical, I guess, almost magical realist sort of tinge to it. And it's got very interesting takes on kind of what it is to be alive and what it is to have to deal with death, and I just think that it got absolutely no play here in the States. But if you check it out, I think you're really going to be taken by it. It's definitely an adult film. It's not
Adult film. It's an adult film.
It's for it's not for 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
because it's pretty profound. It's only 75 minutes, so it's not like a long film. But it's got a very kind of earthy quality, very poetic, and I liked it. I had not heard of it until I looked at the DVD, but I have to say I was really kind of taken by Silent Souls from the good folks at Zeitgeist.
Nice. I'm going to blow through just a few final titles here. There is a quartet of films from Olive. You know, Olive is mostly licensing these Paramount titles, but they are licensing some interesting foreign language stuff as well. And we got a couple of Belmondo films here, a couple of Belmondo genre films, really. This is with Jean-Paul Belmondo, Lino Ventura, Bernard Blier, the father of Bertrand Blier, the filmmaker, and Gert Frobe. And it's called Greed in the Sun, otherwise known as $100,000 in the Sun. And this is directed by Henry Verneuil in 1964, and it's not a very good film, to be honest, but it's an interesting genre film in the sense that it's kind of a quasi-French Western. It doesn't take place in the Western period, but it takes place in the Sahara, and the story itself, you know, these guys they're sort of, you know, renegades, and they're kind of trying to. It's sort of like you know, guys in the West going across the frontier trying to make their trade, and they running into all the things that the Wild West presents to them. That's sort of the same concept here, and it's just a very generic French action film from the '60s, but it's an interesting artifact if you're into that. The other one kind of splits the difference between James Bond and To Catch a Thief. This is, you know, a little bit of a Cold War spy thriller crime film called The Brain. This is directed by Gerard Uri in 1969, and it's got a very late 60s, early 70s kind of a groove to it. Belmondo is getting into his cheeseball era here, so he's not really the guy that we all, you know, knew from the early New Wave stuff. This is a little bit more into his genre film, his action film stuff. But you know what? David Niven even shows up in this and gives it a little bit of credibility. So it's okay. I wouldn't highly recommend it. And then much more recommended from the Olive front is the French version. Believe it or not, this is like the only French version that anyone has. There are too many American versions and British versions. Jean-Paul de Chanois did Les Miserables in a very, very faithful version in 1958. Just absolutely beautiful anamorphic widescreen with Jean Gabin and Serge Reggiani and Bourvil. This is a really, really good version of the film. I'm not sure it's the definitive, but it certainly feels pretty definitive. And if you want to see the film done in a non-musical way that really kind of captures the essence of the language that it was originally written in, I would say this is the one to watch. A little bit dated, but really kind of a nice anamorphic, widescreen, old-school epic treatment for the material. Very, very good. And Jean Gabin is always worth a look. And then Joseph Losey's Don Giovanni, the Mozart opera, all 3 whopping hours of it from 1979. You know what? It's a stylish, interesting take on it. All of these filmed operas, including the Ingmar Bergman version of the Magic Flute, they all kind of leave me a little bit cold, but this is a very nice Blu-ray. It's beautifully transferred, and if opera's your thing, then you'll love this. And then finally, 3 excellent French films from last year that you got to check out. 17 Girls. It's not on Blu-ray, it's on DVD, but this is based actually on an American incident where all those young girls had that pregnancy pact. You remember that? It was like in Connecticut or something?
Yes. Remember that story.
That was creepy.
Totally.
Well, this is a French film from Delphine and Muriel Coulin, a sister filmmaking team, that actually transfers that story and dramatizes it in a certain way in a small French. Oh, it's Massachusetts. It's Gloucester, Massachusetts. That's where it happened in the U.S. But anyway, they do this. They create a French equivalent to it, and it's mostly fictionalized. I mean, they borrow very, very little from the actual American incidents. But man, it's a really, really chilling movie as these women just decide, hey, why not? We'll all get pregnant together. We'll raise our kids together. It's creepy and very, very well done. Chicken with Plums. Absolutely great film. This was on my top 10 list.
Yeah, was it really?
I love this movie.
It's so stylish that I felt it was like all style, no anything.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Really? It's just you never get into the characters because it's so into its own style.
See, I thought the story was wonderful. This is Marjane Satrapi and Vincent Parronot's follow-up to
Star Wars?
No, to their animated thing.
Persepolis.
And this is live action, and it's just so stylish, and it's beautiful. And I know a lot of people ridicule this because they thought it was overly stylized, but I thought it was just fantastic. I thought the story, which is all non-linear and kind of wraps around and deals with the the pre-Islamic revolution, Iran, and just father and daughter and violin and all of this amazing story that just weaves through these characters' lives and past and present, and it's just beautiful. I got totally caught up in the rhythm of it. It was like a dream. And then lastly, Blu-ray of Little White Lies, Guillaume Canet's new film, his follow-up to Tell No One, which is totally different. Tell No One was a big thriller, and Little White Lies is almost like The Big Chill. The Jean Dujardin is kind of the life of the party in this group of friends, and he is in an accident that just leaves him near death, and all of his friends go on their without him. They go on their regular summer getaway in the south of France, and it's just very much The Big Chill at that point, but better than The Big Chill. It includes Marion Cotillard, who's just delightful, Francois Cluzet, who was also in Tell No One, and who's in The Untouchables, who's just amazing. Dujardin's hardly in the film, but he's so good in what he does. It's just Benoît Magimel. I love everyone in this movie. This is just great. Throw The Big Chill away. Watch this movie. Little White Lies. Terrific.
Big Chill rules.
Terrific film.
Big Chill rules. How dare you say that?
All right, so shall we dovetail into some listener mail?
Listener mail?
And then we'll wrap out with some big releases of some classic films.
Big releases of some classic films?
All right, big releases of classic films. Here we go, listener mail. First up from Adam Ballard. He says, I'm curious to know what your favorite movie theaters are. My personal faves are theaters at Canal Place in New Orleans, Louisiana, and Alamo Drafthouse in Austin, Texas. The theaters at Canal have posh leather recliners for seats, and you can order fine cuisine and beverages at the push of a button. Alamo Drafthouse is similar, but on the opposite end of the luxury spectrum. At Alamo, it's more like a barn grill inside. Both are great, distinct venues that take the movie-watching experience to another level. Keep up the stellar work. Give Corey a high five. I feel like he's an unsung hero. Damn right. Corey's the man. Mark, favorite theaters?
My favorite theater is one that the average plebe, bam, can't go to. The main theater on the Paramount lot.
I agree.
That was my favorite theater.
And
my number 2 would be the Academy Theater on Wilshire.
I love we love all the private theaters. These are ones that people can't go to. I mean, look, I used to love the National, torn down. I used to love the big screen at the Avco where you worked. They split it up. I still love the Chinese. I still love the Village. Those are classic old Art Deco movie palaces. I love everything about them. I thoroughly enjoy going to the El Capitan. I mean, those are the
I don't like the El Capitan. The El Capitan, the seats are too small.
Yeah,
the
that's
seats
true.
are too small. Although I still enjoy the Cinerama Dome, the dome.
But as far as like great theaters, I'm sorry, there's just nothing in the world like the two screens at Cannes, like the Debussy and the Lumiere. Those are just unfrickin' believable. There's nothing like them. They're just amazing. And then there's also the Grand Rex, which is seats like 3,000 people in Paris. That's an old movie palace in Paris, which you take 3 escalators to get to the top balcony. I love all the palaces. But yeah, as far as private screening rooms in LA, the Paramount Theater is sensational. The DGA, the big screen at the DGA is great too.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and the Academy Theater, those are all great. Yeah, but I'm not so much into food and all that stuff in my theaters.
Well, they're trying to replicate the in-home. It's fun. They're trying to replicate. It's funny because like theaters used to want to build their movie houses to get people away from the home, to give them something they can't get at home. Now some people are actually building their movie theaters to give you exactly what you can get at home, which is a big plush seat and food.
Well, the more we make our home theaters like theaters, the more they make theaters like your living room.
Which I don't understand that.
It's a very strange thing. And a friend, my good friend Michael Venables wrote to us in something very interesting that I wanted to bring up here. He was watching the Skyfall Blu-ray, which we talked about last week, and he was perplexed by the presence of a Die Hard trailer on it for the new Die Hard film, because the Bond films are MGM UA and the Die Hard film is a 20th Century Fox film. And the answer to that actually is because MGM has an output deal with Fox. So Fox handles MGM's films for DVD and Blu-ray. That's their current agreement.
And that's not uncommon. Sometimes one studio will have an output deal with another studio.
Yes. So Fox is just loading they're just putting their own movie on there, and it makes sense, if they can do it, because it basically caters to the same audience. And then Kyle Stevens says, don't know what to make of the movie The Master. I feel like Phoenix and Hoffman both deliver top-notch A-plus performances, but the material is no good. The movie meanders and drags with the hopes and that profound self-realizations will be had by the climax, but none are presented. I can't give it a bad review because of the acting, but I can't give it a good review because of the plot. Your thoughts? We talked about this last week.
We did, and the idea, I had struggled with what the Philip Seymour Hoffman character really represents. I mean, for a while I was going on a theory that he kind of represented the false promise of American exceptionalism post World War II, where America has all the answers, to all its downtrodden, but in the end it really doesn't, and you're on your own.
Yeah.
And I was kind of working on that theory for a while, but in the end, I mean, I do agree that I think that, like we said last week, that Paul has to worry about getting up his own butt too much.
And Beesball writes and says, if you guys need an outlet, please start working for IGN. They desperately need a review staff who knows what they're talking about. IGN stupid for movies?
We actually, Wade and I have talked about that. We haven't approached IGN yet. In fact, I hope they're not listening to this because then they'll know that we're thinking of it. But we have talked about that very thing. So a good comment.
Yes, indeed it is. And Jason Levy says, Digigods, have you seen any movies in a D-Box theater? If you don't know what D-Box is, it's a theater where the seats vibrate and react to what's on the screen. There's a theater with a D-Box near where I work, but I've never gone to see anything there. The added price for the price tag for the D-Box is expensive and goes even higher when D-Box is mixed with 3D. My boss loves seeing blockbusters in D-Box. What are your thoughts of this added movie-going experience? I'd be willing to try it once, but I can't imagine it would be something I would like to go back to often, and I can't see catching it. See it catching on as much as 3D has. I don't even think 3D has caught on. I think it's waning.
I think that people are getting a little bit tired of 3D. Yeah. It's not. It doesn't have the excitement anymore. No. Regarding D-Box, there's the theater at the
Chinese
at the Chinese where they used to have at the beginning before D-Box was really out there. They had like a little D-Box kiosk out in the lobby where you can sit and experience D-Box.
Yeah,
like
there were always 12-year-olds sitting in those seats.
Yeah, there was like a 17-inch monitor, and you can watch whatever 2012 and experience D-Box. The thing is that it's just another one of those movies another one of those marketing gimmicks, like Sense Around from back in the day, that is supposed to get you out of your living room seat into a movie theater. And in the end, I just think it's stupid. Now, Sense Around was just really the bass turned up so high that it would just make your chair shake. That's all
Sense Around was cheesy.
But D-Box, I mean, there is technology involved in D-Box.
Yes.
I just think that it's just it's just a joke. It's not worth it.
No. Silly. Nonsense. All right, Mark, that's it for listener mail. Let's and if you want to hit us with listener mail, by all means, gods@digigods.com. Send us your Voxbox recordings, gods@digigods.com. And please send us new intros. We're looking for new intros. We're going to be recording those soon. Gods@digigods.com. And if you want us to plug anything in those intros, plug your website, plug your book, plug your movie, plug your life, your child, your favorite clothing designer, whatever. Throw it in there. We'll do it. We're whores. Or pimps, as it were.
I like to say hoe-bag.
Hoe-bag. That's what we are. All right, Mark. We're going to talk about some classic movies now. Or, I guess, is that...
Is that what you meant when you were looking at this?
I guess. Top Gun in 3D. Top Gun has been on Blu-ray before, but it is now out again on Blu-ray 3D, because they did a 3D conversion and re-released it, and somehow they think they're going to get a little bit of juice out of this. I say nay.
Well, maybe they would have got juice out of it if Tony Scott didn't either kill himself or whatever it was, die prematurely, horribly, surprisingly, and tragically. Now that he's unfortunately out of the picture, I don't know if Top Gun 2 will ever happen. But Top Gun is definitely... The thing with Top Gun is that not that the aerial footage doesn't hold up, and I do love Tom Cruise. It is a bit of a movie of its time. It is very much a bunch of Reagan-era jingoism, and in an era of war when the country is very polarized between conservative and liberal, I can see certain swaths of the country regrooving on Top Gun, and I can see maybe more liberal audiences just maybe not grooving on the jingoism of it, but maybe just grooving on the cheesiness of it, because again, this film was like from 1986 or something like that. So I think it can be enjoyed on two different levels depending on your political stripe, but ultimately, is it a good film? Does it hold up? I don't know. It's cheesy. Frankly, it just comes off as cheesy now. But that was kind of that was a hallmark of the Simpson Bruckheimer years. You know, their films were they were the quintessential '80s producers, and this kind of was their quintessential film. So I would recommend Top Gun just as a film of its era, and an early Tom Cruise, late early Tom Cruise success. Top Gun.
I got a trio here from Twilight Time. We love when Twilight Time comes out with titles because they're always such a great surprise. They do a little bit like Olive. They license titles from the studios and from other companies that otherwise would not get a good treatment. And 3 wonderful Blu-rays here. Pony Soldier is maybe the least interesting of these. Now, all of these are available only on ScreenArchives.com. There are only 3,000 units of each available. When they're gone, they're gone. They're done forever. And the appeal largely with these is that you get isolated score tracks on these because they always have great scores. Pony Soldier is really noteworthy because of the Alex North music more than anything. Tyrone Power plays not made in 1952. He plays a Canadian Mountie who's got this kind of a mission to guide some Cree Indians back to their reservation. It's not such a great movie. Joseph Newman, not such a great director in this case, but the music's great, the photography's great, so that makes it a little bit worthwhile. A much better film is Nicholas and Alexandra, which is a film that I think has never really gotten its proper due. This was made in 1971 when these kinds of costume epics and biopics were sort of on the wane. This would have been a bigger deal in the mid-'60s. But Nicholas and Alexandra is, of course, about the last Tsar and Tsarina of Russia. Directed by Franklin Schaffner, just right after he won an Oscar for Patton, produced by Sam Spiegel, who, of course, did Bridge on the River Kwai and On the Waterfront, and which we'll also be talking about in just a second, and Lawrence of Arabia, most famously. So Sam Spiegel, kind of almost ruined this film himself. I think he oversold it a little bit, but it's a great script by James Goldman, terrific direction by Franklin Schaffner, and a wonderful score by Richard Rodney Bennett, which you also get in an isolated score track. Fantastic. A few other little featurettes on there, too. Great Blu-ray transfer from Twilight Time. And the most fun of the bunch is In Like Flint, which, of course, came... Oh, so good. James Coburn stars in basically a Bond spoof, which was the sequel to Our Man Flint, that was made in 1966. This one followed shortly thereafter in 1967. And it's a lot of fun, man. It's just a whole lot of fun. All the Bond spoofs from the era, I think in many ways are just as fun as the Bond films. And this not only has an isolated score track for the Jerry Goldsmith music, which is great, but it has tons and tons and tons of extras and featurettes and little tidbits like Flint versus Zanuck, The Missing 3 Minutes. Really interesting. The premiere in Puerto Rico, and just a lot of fun stuff. Even some screen test stuff, which you'll thoroughly enjoy. So Twilight Time, once again, does a great job, nails it.
Wade, we have on Digi. I like these little Digibooks that Warner Brothers puts out. It's nice. The latest one is A Star Is Born, and
the Blu-ray books. Yeah.
Blu-ray books. It's a Star. Now, Star Is Born has been made a bunch of times. Judy Garland was kind of the first notable one. And Chris Christopherson, Barbra Streisand starred in the 1976 remake. And it's funny. People are saying that like Anne Hathaway deserves an Oscar right now for her little uninterrupted 7-minute blah of that song "I Dreamed a Dream." Well, at the end of towards the end, if not the end of A Star Is Born, Barbra Streisand sings a song uninterrupted for 8 minutes. But then again, she's a concert performer, so that's all she does.
Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented for an actor to sing on stage or sing a song in a movie for 8 minutes uninterrupted. Anyway, I don't know that this movie really works for me. I think that Barbra Streisand was kind of miscast. I never found Barbra Streisand a very attractive woman, and I don't know that I find her a very contemporary character on film. I know here she's supposed to be a contemporary character. Chris Christopherson plays the artist who is on his way down as Barbra Streisand is on her way up. And in fact, this whole movie this movie could be summed up in one shot from The Artist. Remember the shot in The Artist of the staircase? I think it was, and when he's going down and she's going up the staircase in The Artist. Remember Jean Dujardin is going down the staircase and the woman's going up the staircase?
Wonderful.
That's pretty much A Star Is Born in one shot.
Yes, it is.
Chris Christopherson's going down. Barbara Streisand's going up. So I had a lot of problems with this film. I think there's some good stuff in it. Paul Mazursky, I know when Paul Mazursky was a director, when he acts, I like it, except when he acts in Stanley Kubrick films. I don't like that. But ultimately, I just think that Streisand is too. She doesn't really like to look dowdy or unhappy or dressed down. I mean, there's a scene in this movie where she's like riding a horse, and she looks like she's going out to dinner that night at Sardi's or something. And but then again, that's the point of a star vehicle, is that the star always looks beautiful. But it was a little distracting here. And I always like Chris Christopherson. He's had a much longer and more distinguished career than I think he's given credit for. But look, a lot of special features, commentary by Barbara Streisand, deleted scenes, wardrobe tests, and a commentary on the wardrobe test with Barbara Streisand. Of course, it's the Digibook thing, so it's got a little essay in it and some photos. So first time on Blu-ray, I think your parents will absolutely love it. Will you love it as a film? Meh, not that great. You'll be like, Barbara Streisand, she was considered beautiful? I don't think so. No, I don't know it.
You know, I keep hoping they're going to do the Blu-ray book treatment. I got a couple more musical things to add to that here. Irving Berlin's Easter Parade with Judy Garland and Fred Astaire should be a Blu-ray book. I don't know why they didn't do it. Warner Brothers has instead released it as just a straight-up Blu-ray. And it is still a wonderful film and a sensational transfer. There's nothing bad you can say about this. I remember hearing one of the Warner executives at one point at a demonstration I went to for the 2K screening of The Adventures of Robin Hood, saying, we live in 4K here, meaning they restore everything in 4K and they will use 2K transfers for their DVDs and Blu-rays. But you can tell they really pay attention to their movies. And even though this is not a kind of big whopping special edition, Blu-ray book, whatever, you can tell that the transfer is the same quality. They just didn't load it up with all the bells and whistles. Still, a lot of great extras on here. Commentary by Ava Astaire McKenzie and John Fricke. Several featurettes, including the entire American Masters show, Judy Garland by Myself, which itself should be, it's its own title. And there's an outtake and some dailies and really just a lot of fun stuff. You just get to relive the glory of this movie all over again, and it's such good music. And friggin' Judy Garland and Fred Astaire, it's when the movies were movies. Why don't we have that anymore? It's so depressing. Also, as far as we're talking about musicals, Warner Brothers, for their 90th birthday, is doing a whole best-of series of releases. Giant, very expensive boxed sets. This includes like a 100-film box set, a 50-film Blu-ray boxed set, and then these 20-film collections that are meant to sort of really immerse you in the glory of Warner Brothers. The one I have in front of us, which is the sample that they sent us, is the 20-film collection Musicals. And I know when you think musicals, you think, oh, Warner Brothers. Wait a minute. No, musicals were MGM. Well, we've just talked about a bunch of musicals that are all Warner Brothers, Star is Born and Easter Parade. And here, this is what you get on. These are the 20 films that you get on this 20-film collection. It's not Blu-ray, DVD. A lot of these are already on Blu-ray. But this is what you get on the musicals, the 20 musicals. The Jazz Singer from 1927. Broadway Melody from 1929. 42nd Street, 1933. The Great Ziegfeld. I mean, they're Oscar winners. They're Best Picture winners here, by the way. You know, Great Ziegfeld. Wizard of Oz, 1939. Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942. Won Best Actor for James Cagney. American in Paris, another Best Picture winner, 1951. And you're thinking, my gosh, Warner, really, they were a musical studio. They were up there with MGM. Showboat, 1951. Jerome Kern, which I've seen, by the way, on stage. Fantastic. Ned Beatty, couldn't be better. Ned Beatty and Showboat, I'm not kidding you. It was fantastic. He was great. Singin' in the Rain, 1952, widely considered the greatest musical ever made. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, not such a fan. That's 1954. The original, or the middle Star is Born, the Judy Garland Star is Born from 1954. Music Man, 1962. Here's where it gets weird, Mark. Everything's fine there, all right? We're good. So far, so
great.
We're
Yeah.
good. We're good. Viva Las Vegas.
Well, you've got to represent
Elvis, I
Elvis.
guess. I mean, I love the film, but it's like, really? Okay, I don't really consider it a musical. It's like an Elvis movie. Elvis movies aren't really musicals. They're just Elvis movies. And then Camelot, which I love the music, but the movie's a problem. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Greatest ever.
Greatest ever. Can't recommend the DVD because you got a great Blu-ray set out there for that. That just rocks on Blu-ray. Cabaret, 1972, which has also been out on Blu-ray, but they have not yet sent it to us, and I'm very bitter about that. That's Entertainment, 1974.
That was a big deal at the time. That movie
Was a big time. Was a big
It was
deal.
it was like a greatest hits of all the big musicals.
Yep. Victor Victoria, 1982.
Yeah, Julie Andrews puts a cockroach in the salad.
There you go. Little Shop of Horrors. Love that movie.
What's wrong with that?
It's great.
Yeah.
No, it's great. And then Hairspray, which is meh. But it's like, wow. So there's a few in here that don't.
No, look, we often complain about box sets, about how like there's like 2 good films, 2 okay films, and one that's been sitting on the shelf forever.
Pretty great though, right?
But these are 20 films that I can justify you watching.
Yeah, I can too.
I wish they were on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Oh, Wade.
I know.
I want it.
No. You talk about best in show, and then
I don't want that. I don't
Okay.
want that. I want that.
Okay.
Me
Do you
want it.
want me to talk about it now?
Yeah, me want it. Give it to me. I want it now.
Mark's talking about On the Waterfront,
Please
the other
don't.
Sam Spiegel film, the first of Sam Spiegel's 3 Best Picture Oscars, from Criterion, 1954, beautiful Blu-ray edition. You know what I love about this edition of On the Waterfront, Mark? The artwork. Isn't that great?
Yes, beautiful.
Isn't that sensational?
Yep.
Criterion, you guys are so awesome. You just do the coolest things. I mean, it's hand-drawn artwork. Monochrome artwork of Marlon Brando sitting on the roof. It's so cool. It must be original artwork used for publicity purposes. I've never seen it before, but it's perfect. It just makes it makes it just feel special. On the Waterfront is, of course, a great film. One of the first sort of method acting movies that really broke through Marlon Brando and Carl Malden and Rod Steiger under the direction of Elia Kazan. And it's all about union corruption on the docks. And Marlon Brando's Terry Malloy is just one of the great characters in movie history. Could have been a contender. How many people quote that over and over and over?
That is true.
It's a throwaway line, but it's so good.
And that great Leonard Bernstein score.
Oh, the Leonard Bernstein. And in Fred Gwynn, the future Herman Munster, is a really, really skinny palooka.
Yes.
He's so good. He's
Awesome.
hardly in the movie, but he just, you go, that's Herman Munster. He needs to put on a few pounds. It's great. Terrific audio commentary here by Richard Schickel and Jeff Young. Schickel is such a curmudgeon, but when he gets going on commentaries, he's just beyond. He's incomparable. And a conversation with Martin Scorsese and film critic Kent Jones. An hour-long documentary called Elia Kazan, An Outsider, which was made in 1982, which is just superb. Another documentary that's brand new on the making of the film, which it taught me so many things I thought I knew. I had no idea. I had lectures on this film in school, and I had no idea about some of this other stuff. There's even a 2001 documentary on that scene called Contender, Mastering the Method, all about method acting and the scene. It's just great. On and on and on and on. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. A terrific Criterion release, and you even get a second disc here, which includes alternate presentations of the restoration in 2 additional aspect ratios, 1:8:5 and 1:3:3. Isn't that interesting? It's terrific.
Not really.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yep, I agree. Cannot recommend that highly enough. On the Waterfront, Criterion knocks out of the park again. Wait, we have a couple more films here. We have on Blu-ray, has not been on Blu-ray before, which I find surprising, is Christopher Guest's Best in Show. This was his follow-up to Waiting for Guffman, and I think this is just as funny, because not only do you have that great cast, Eugene Levy and Christopher Guest and a bunch of his, idiosyncratic, hilarious, funny ad-libbers, but you also have cute little doggies, and doggies are cute. Yeah, everyone loves doggies. And of course, the best part is the improvised commentary by the Best in Dog, the Westminster Dog Show, commentators, the TV commentators, played by Fred Willard. Is one of them, so that's really just classic stuff. And here it's kind of like you get a sense of when you look at the film, not only is it unbelievably funny and unbelievably cute, but it really is in its own way a bit of a human story, because everybody has their own reason for getting into the dog show, and it's just different types of reasons. People either obsessed with dogs, or they're bored, or they're just bored in life, or they're just really happy people who need to just get off the Prozac, or it's just an outlet for their obsession, whatever it is. You kind of do find, everybody's different types of personalities that are out there represented in these couples that do these dog shows. And Christopher Guest the one when he did For Your Consideration, that one kind of fell apart.
Ooh, that was the beginning of the end.
That was it. And that's the one where it's like he's making fun of actors who want to make movies, and it just felt a little bit self-serving. Just like we really care about, like another Hollywood spoof. And it just felt like I think after that he kind of fell apart a little bit. But Best in Show is great, and so is Waiting for Guffman.
All righty. And that does it. So, meanwhile, please send us emails, Vox boxes, and suggestions for new openings to gods@digigods.com, and include with those openings any plugs that you want us to do for your websites and your books and your movies and everything else. We are happy to do it. And with that, we will see you next week.